Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Secondary Heroes podcast. We're kicking off the month of November by talking about turkey films. This is your host, Trevor, and joining me as usual is...
Hey guys, it's Prague here to troll our audience.
You're a wizard, Harry. This is DeLorean Wolfgang.
Nice call out.
Excellent.
You're gonna troll? What do you mean?
We
I
are
don't want
gonna
to troll our audience.
Well, we are going to be watching the 1986 film Troll today because it is considered a turkey, a bad movie. I thought it'd be fun for this month for us to watch these turkey films, these bad, terrible films that like bombed at the box office or were hated by critics, that might be beloved by some for their campiness. I don't know. That'd be fun. What do you think?
I love it because I'm a big fan of campy movies. I think that they're fun, they're exciting. I did end up watching one on accident. I won't talk about it because we're probably going to be talking about it later on. But this movie was a surprise to me, and yeah, do we dive in? What are we doing? Do we just dive in? We're gonna skip some stuff.
Yeah, we're skipping the spoiler-free section if you're used to the Secondary Heroes podcast. And so, more about Troll. It came out in 1986. There is a sequel that's more infamous on the internet for its terribleness. But we gotta start with the original that has Sonny Bono in it plus Julie Louis-Dreyfus. So it's definitely hard-hitting, good acting going on.
Which, by the way, they got very close to having a nude Elaine in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was a body double or if that was her.
I was like, oh my goodness, are we really gonna see Elaine from Seinfeld nude in this movie?
I may or may not have paused it a few times.
Did you really?
I'm just saying. Unfortunately, Prime's buffering wasn't always that great, so.
I finished the movie right before we started recording, and I was watching it on my phone, laying next to my wife in bed because she just got back from San Francisco, which this movie is based in.
Yeah. I didn't realize until later in the film.
Yeah, so. Oh my, yeah, dude! I didn't realize it until the boy is laying in bed and he had a San Francisco Giants banner in his bedroom, and I was like, "Oh, they're in San Francisco."
Yeah,
I mean, they never really leave
halfway
the
through
apartment
the movie.
building.
Right.
Well, they do that one awesome shot with that CGI green screened Golden Gate Bridge in the background.
Oh, that might be the worst. In the we already out the gate. That's the worst scene in the film right there. Was that scene? Seeing the Golden Gate Bridge.
That was the worst.
It was like they took a piece of tape and like taped it on the background of something.
That is how it looked. They printed out some big picture.
Oh, it's great. Oh,
and so if you do want to watch this movie along with us, it's on Amazon Prime. Again, we're not going to spoil it. You can't really spoil a bad movie. Heads up, it's bad. And with that, where do you guys want to start?
Well, our socials, maybe?
Well, where I want to start, I'm going to start with the socials. Yeah, absolutely. You can listen to all of our episodes over on crossthestreamsmedia.com. You can find links to all of our social media over there as well. You can also listen to every one of our episodes on that site, as well as leave us a review, which we just got a really good review just recently, which thank you. You know what? I think I'm going to start pulling up our reviews and naming those off. And all of this is over at crossthestreamsmedia.com. If you don't want to go to crossthestreamsmedia.com, you can find us on all of our social medias, which is all at Secondary Heroes. With Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of it at Secondary Heroes. Also, check us out on YouTube. That's kind of our bread and butter right now is YouTube. You can see our pretty faces and, I don't know, laugh along with us. You hit that like and subscribe because that helps the algorithm get more people to listen to us. I don't know how many people will listen to us after that Dune episode, but here we are now. Anyways, all this is free for you and it's priceless to us.
Woo.
Sorry, that was
Been
aggressive.
There, Dune that.
Let me just say, Dune is closer to turkey category than some people would like to say. Hot take. Okay, with Troll.
There goes half our audience.
That's all right. Whatever.
So, did you guys have any highlights? Like, actually, any good parts of this film? Whether it's you guys
Oh.
want to go camping with it, there's parts that even it was so dumb it was actually good. Is there anything?
I was really attracted to the mother, whatever her name was. She was apparently one of the Charlie's Angels. I found out, so that explains.
I was gonna say, you mean 1986 version of Kate McKinnon?
Yeah, that's fine. It worked for me.
She looks
like,
just
alright.
like her.
Yeah,
It was that last scene where I was like, "Wow, she looks just like Kate McKinnon." That is so
Yeah.
wild.
She's a bit in the eyes, especially in the hair. Yeah, I see it.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually thought the old witch was smoking hot. I'm like,
yeah, she's
I
not bad
bet
either.
back
Yeah,
in her day, she was a cutie. I guarantee.
yeah, the
that.
old witch was really cute. Oh, the young one. Yes, that's right. Yes, the young.
No, the old and young, both of them were cute.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know
of
what
course,
it
they
was.
were.
They were both cute. Anyways, I actually, maybe because of the movie that I watched before this, this movie was actually fairly decent to me.
Decent in quotation marks.
Hey, I didn't say good, didn't say great. This was a decent movie. If you want just a laugh along romp, I mean, which, by the way, I still don't understand the whole, if this is a horror movie, a comedy movie, or a fantasy movie, none of it made, I mean, this was more fantasy than anything. There is no horror to this. There's
I don't
no
think the
real
director knows. Yeah, I don't think anyone knows what this is. It's claimed to be a horror fantasy comedy. It's sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's about as much horror as Leprechaun is, and I only think of Leprechaun because they had that same green special effect to cover over a character to switch him out.
Yep.
And with all the puppets, they made them all like real slimy and gross looking, just like Leprechaun. So it was like, if that's what the 80s considered horror, then maybe times have changed.
I think times have changed. Not all horror was like that, but there was an element to like family horror, you know, that Amblin Jim Henson style horror that isn't quite like super creepy. That, like, you know, if you're a kid or a teenager, you can be okay with it.
It was gross, but not in like the gory way. It was just it was just gross at scenes.
Goopy. It was goopy at times.
Goopy, yeah.
Goopy.
I did not want to touch any of that stuff.
No. Well, Trevor, you just asked us what our favorite parts of this movie. What was your favorite?
I think I love that the dad's name is Harry Potter. You referenced it at the opening.
Yes.
But just the idea of a 1986 film's main character named Harry Potter and his son is Harry Potter Jr. That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
And then there's a witch.
Wizards and witches.
Yeah, there's wizards and witch storylines, and there's all these fantasy elements. There's trolls. That's in Harry Potter.
There was a giant furry thing, practically Hagrid.
J.K. Rowling was watching this movie on some like super drug thing, and she just started coming up with ideas.
She probably did. She was probably like stoned out of her mind.
Good for her. Having a good time.
You're a wizard, Harry. Wait.
You're a Harry wizard.
Hold on. Because the dad says his name like so many times over and over in the beginning. Like, no, I'm not Harry Porter. I'm Harry Potter. I'm Harry Potter. Like, we get it, sir.
Well, even at the end of the movie where they're searching for the son, they're Harry Potter. Yeah. Harry Potter.
I did like
my wife looks over at me like, what are you watching? This doesn't look like Harry Potter at all.
You didn't know that Harry Potter was a remake of this movie?
Clearly.
Oh boy. So before we get too far, I wanted to say that the reason why I chose this film is because I actually had this sitting in my closet for like 5 or 6 years. I won it during a White Elephant gift exchange and just never got around to watching it.
What?
Oh no, I never was really wanting to watch it, but here it is. It was Turkey Month. I thought, let's do it. Streaming on Amazon. I don't have to open up that package. So
that's right. Yeah, keep it nice and crisp for the one day
win. In like 100 years, man, you'll have that original Troll DVD.
Man, yeah, that's gonna be
the way each younger generation seems to like worse and worse things. This is going to be one of the best things of all time as we get a few generations on.
Well, yes.
I don't know, man. I think next week's movies. Never mind. I won't even get into it.
You just want to mention it so bad.
I can't believe that I sat through it. I hate that I
No,
did.
hold on, hold on. As
Yeah.
much fun as I had with this movie, because it was campy and bad, and like laugh out loud bad at times, even like really bad. It was fun, but it's bad. Like even the very beginning when we meet the family for the first time and they get out of their car, not a single person is dubbed correctly. Like the dubbing on that scene is so off. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
that's
It's
she
almost like
goes down
watching.
to the basement and she's seeing that peas and porridge thing, and
Yeah,
literally they show her face. It's not moving. She's already
not
done
moving.
saying her line, and
Yeah.
the lines are still being spoken.
Oh my gosh. I was like, who did this? Like, who
Well,
overdubbed this? Who greenlit that?
and to really think about it, they jumped straight into this. Like
Which I
the
kind of
movie.
enjoyed.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I am glad that we didn't have to go through a bunch of backstory or anything like that. It was like family moves into apartment, boom, girl
Sure.
gets adopted by troll.
I mean, we got
Exactly.
the full troll. I wrote it down. It took 5 minutes and 50 seconds. How many
Not bad, huh?
movies have the title
Wow.
character show up that quickly?
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah. But it was, and honestly, the troll looked great. I actually really liked the troll. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but the guy who is the professor in the movie, he's actually the guy who plays the troll.
I figured.
I
It wasn't a
guessed
big
at that.
stretch.
Did you really? Okay. Because I did some looking up on this movie, and yeah, that
Yeah, I
was
did.
one of the things that stuck with me.
My
Nice.
favorite part of the troll is that he wears a chain and he has like wristbands. He's like, it's this weird heavy metal rock kind of like influenced. I don't know where he
Kind
got
of
his
looks
design.
like Meatloaf
Yes.
as a troll.
Well, it's almost like
very-
they took the design from Labyrinth, the character. Oh god,
Hoggle.
or maybe Hoggle. Hoggle is his name. Yeah. But then again, I think this came out before
I don't know.
Labyrinth.
I don't know.
I think
Wow.
Labyrinth
It was around the
came out
same
in
time
85.
as it's all those movies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
Jim
this
Henson-
wasn't a Jim Henson joint, was it?
No,
not that I.
it's knockoff
no.
Jim Henson stuff. They went and saw Gremlins and they're like, let's do something similar.
Yeah.
And
The
this
reason
is
why
an
you
attempt
know-
at people who aren't Steven Spielberg trying to make his movies.
Right. The reason why you know it's not Jim Henson is because the puppetry is some of the worst in film history. Like the designs are great. Like there's some fun designs in here, but like the actual movement of these creatures are offensive to anybody who likes movies. Like it is just offensive. Like everyone's mouth, instead of moving up and down, move like sideways for some reason.
And when
like
the
they all
witch
talk
turns-
out the side of their mouth.
When the witch turned into the tree and she still kept her very beautiful voice inside this disgusting looking melty tree looking thing, I'm like, it didn't fit. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're hearing this beautiful voice come from this disgusting thing. It didn't match. It threw me off. That, I mean, granted, that was like at the very, very end of the movie, but yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the puppetry in general. It's just very stiff.
Oh,
Like,
of
you just
course.
Instead of
Yeah,
like the ornate movements of like say a Muppet, people just like moving back and forth. Like they're not
Because
really
it was
doing
such
anything.
heavy duty plastic
bad.
and stuff. That stuff is probably impossible to move.
Oh, I know, and it looked bad.
And the
because-
entire time they're completely hidden. They're so hidden behind all the vines and the branches and stuff, where it literally looks like someone put their hand in like a sock and went. "Rah, rah, 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 rah,
So
rah."
when we first saw the vines and stuff, I thought they were all marijuana leaves, and I thought we were
That's
going to
what
go
I
on
did
this
too.
whole
Yes, they totally look like
Oh,
marijuana.
it's a stoner movie. I'm like, oh, I'm all right, okay.
I was like, okay, where are we going?
That's why Sonny Bono's in. I get it. I get what you're doing. But that was it. They just kind of abandoned it there. Like,
Yeah.
oh, all
God,
right.
Sonny Bono was in this movie, man.
Did he like sprout the marijuana leaves because of who he is as a character?
He's like, so much in him became it.
It takes
It's
whatever
like-
you have most recently ingested.
God, that was so weird. I liked it. I liked that scene though because it was so weird. It was like a throbbing, like phallic pickle thing that he turns into.
Yes,
Cocoon,
that's
and
exactly
then-
what it was.
All right, so let's go into some of your worst. What did you not like about this movie?
Oh, so I think bar none. So Atreyu is in this movie, and this is his second worst movie that he's like acting.
Who he is? Oh my god!
He was bad enough in the Neverending Story, which is not a great movie, and he was even worse somehow in this movie. Like, oh my God,
Oh,
his
the
acting. I don't know.
the line delivery where she asks him a question and he
Oh.
stares at the screen
Yeah,
for
he
a good
stares at
2
her.
beats.
Oh, it's like, what, is there a gas leak on set, or is Noah just like high on fumes? I don't know what was wrong with him, but that kid cannot act. Oh my God, so
I gotta-
bad, laughably bad.
For myself, the
Yeah.
worst scene was the dad doing the dance.
Oh, I like that. Sounds kind of fun.
Oh God, that drove me nuts. I'm like, God, they are spending way too much time on this guy doing this ridiculous dance.
And the mom keeps coming into the room. Oh, that's my husband.
So dumb, dude. Like that was. There's certain things to leave on a cutting room floor, and that was not it. Or that was it. That was something to leave.
That was
on
not
the
it. It makes it memorable when he spazzes out on the couch, listening to
bad.
some weird like heavy metal version of Summertime Blues, which I tried to find and I can't find.
Yeah,
I looked up
what's that song?
Summertime Blues from Troll, and it's only been like performed in that film.
Yeah, I was
Well, and then-
surprised to hear that come out of that song. I'm like, oh, okay.
And then all the fairy monsters, they all start singing at some point in the movie.
I
too.
liked this song that the
Oh
Trolls
my
sang.
God.
It was I
Come
was
on.
trying to understand the words, but it had a
Yes.
good beat.
Yes. So the whole time I'm like this. I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. I have no idea what the lyrics are. I don't know what anyone's saying in this whole movie. I have no idea what the little girl's name is because she has a lisp and a really bad speech impediment. But eventually someone said her name was Wendy. But I had no idea what anyone was singing or saying in this film. So I
Okay,
just kind of sat there and was like, all right, the whole
Let's
time.
jump to that little girl. Did you feel like there was some of those scenes that felt a little uncomfortable with the little girl?
Very much so, yes. I thought the whole film
Okay.
was weird that way.
It was super uncomfortable when she's screaming about rat burgers and then she bites the dad's arm.
Okay, that's not what I was
That's not
thinking.
what I'm talking about either.
I'm
talking
thinking
her
about her
visiting
getting closer and
men.
closer to visiting the men in the apartment buildings.
He was alone with 3 men in their apartment, single men. And they
Well, I
just
thought it was
let her
weird
in,
that everyone
close
just
the
let the little
door.
girl into
Everybody.
her apartment.
they don't care. They're just like, oh
All
yeah,
the
you're this little girl. Here, come on in. Close the door.
Was that an 80s
Let's hang
thing where kids can just walk through like like she's been there one day. She knows it's not like she's lived there for 5 years and they've seen her grow up or anything.
That's so
Right.
weird.
So bizarre. And then the witch lady is like, "Oh yeah, the door is never locked. Come on in whenever you want." It's like, well,
No,
you're
young
kind
boy, come on in here and hang
You're
out.
a
Come
hot
on.
old woman, dude. If I was 16 and I knew that,
Like,
because she was a good-looking older lady. I still stick by that. She was a good-looking older
yeah,
lady.
she is. She was very pretty as an older lady. Yes.
She looks like she was probably like super famous back in like the 30s or something, and like she was a bombshell back in the 30s, but she still like
Sure.
holds up in her like she's in her 60s or 70s in this movie.
holds up.
She looked fantastic.
She
It was
holds up.
totally a whole Mrs. Robinson thing, but
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
She was making him
That-
breakfast every day.
Yeah.
And how about the fact that the parents were just straight up just clueless or just didn't even care? Like,
Oh, that's a trope though. That's like a total 80s parents trope.
yeah,
Yeah,
parents
no,
for some reason just can't care.
Yeah.
well, no, but in the
Or
in
don't
the
believe.
they never show the parents ever. It's like, oh, we don't care. Go ahead, whatever.
Oh, and then
Like-
they just don't show the parents do.
And then
Yeah,
they
they
never
kept
show the-
showing them
Yeah, the
purposely.
We're in this movie a lot.
Yeah, the dad at one point, because he comes and he says that his sister's a pod person or something, and the dad's like, "Hey, honey, did you take a bunch of drugs before we met?" And I was like,
Yeah, some of these lines, I'm like, I know we talked about this earlier off air, but like that, I don't think this is meant for kids. Like, it looks like it was trying to be, but like the whole time, like all the jokes were very risque,
No.
very risque.
I don't know if they were that risque. I know that you had mentioned the swinger line,
Yeah,
and then
Sonny
the
Bono's a
strip club,
swinger.
but
I mean, come on, with pornos in
I-
his apartment for a
I
kids movie.
still feel like this could have been a kids movie. It really could have been.
It could have been, yes, but I don't think I just don't know what they were trying to do with this movie.
I
Unless they're trying to
still-
intentionally make it bad. I don't know.
No way. There's no way they intentionally.
So-
they
tried-
put some
This is-
effort in.
This was
But,
effort.
yeah, they did put some effort in, but here's why I think that some of it might have been intentionally bad, maybe, and that's because Harry Potter Jr. watches all those B movies. He watches classic B movies, and they're purposely bad. Like even the B movies that are in this are like made up, and they're like so and so's a pod person, like,
The
and it's clearly
dog
an homage.
and then the canary. It
The
wasn't
cat,
even
the
a person.
canary. Yeah, everybody's a pod person. And at the very end, when the creature comes out, it like comes out like the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes over the top of the roof, and people are all looking up like, oh my god, like a total B movie trope. So I'm thinking there was a bit of an homage to B movies in this. So I don't know to what extent this was meant to be bad.
Maybe the effects, but I don't think the terrible acting and line delivery and just
I
the
don't know.
dialogue. I think the best example of how bad the dialogue was the introduction of everyone on the stairs. They had to introduce every character in the apartment.
Everybody.
And it was so awkward. Like, none of the lines flew together. They weren't really having a conversation.
No, it
It's
doesn't
like,
make any sense.
line delivery, leave. Line
Yeah.
delivery, exit.
Someone comes
It's
in.
like-
What? Why is this guy running into the apartment right now for some reason? What's happening?
And everybody was like bouncing into each other and
Yeah.
Oh, there was so
falling
much
over the
stumbling
whole
and
time.
falling. Everybody was just tripping.
yeah.
That was a weird scene. It went on quite a while too, with the fire alarm going on in the background
Yeah.
forever. Yeah. that's it.
Oh, okay. So that drove me nuts because I was listening to the movie with my AirPods in,
Mhm.
and it like right once that fire alarm stopped, because it was going on so long, right once it stopped, it was almost like this feeling of relief just like drained out of me, and it was like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
finally.
Yep. That's what it was
Yeah.
like because it went on way too long. That's for sure.
Now you
Okay.
mentioned that there was some big stars in this, like Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in this.
Yeah. And what's weird
And-
is like she shows up for like just a few moments in the beginning. We don't see her again until like more than halfway through the movie, I don't think.
Right.
Which is strange.
But man, she's got it, man. She looked great. This felt like one of her first movies, though.
I'm trying to think I don't even know what her first movie would have been, but this would have been very early in her career, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had her baby
Yeah.
face still back then.
Mhm.
But
Well,
she did
it's
do.
almost like Jennifer Aniston being in what was it? Leprechaun. Yeah. So,
But I do
anyways,
feel like
saying.
she does well as like that nymph, that wood nymph. Like she nailed that aspect. Like she was definitely
Oh
mischievous.
God, yes. she phoned that in
Played that up.
so good.
Yeah, she hammed it up. I liked it.
And
yeah.
there were scenes where I was like, are we gonna see some naked Elaine here? Naked Seinfeld Elaine here? I was like, this is really gonna happen. Wow.
Say
Nope.
not a kids movie.
No, ma'am. Not in this movie. Yeah, but they never show anything, so
Unless
yeah,
you pause it
still,
right. Unless
still
you
a kids
pause it
movie.
right.
Unless you pause it right.
Yeah.
I was watching it laying next to my wife. I don't think there was not gonna be any pausing in this movie.
All right.
Yeah. Especially when they're sitting there screaming, Harry Potter! Harry Potter! Yeah, my wife's like, what are you watching over there? Because it
So-
definitely was not Harry Potter.
For the little girl Wendy, did you think that she looked like the little girl from Poltergeist?
Poltergeist!
I had to look
So-
it up.
Yes.
So the little girl in Poltergeist is named Heather O'Rourke, and this girl is named Jenny
Heather.
Beck. And they look very similar.
So there's a trope. Like that's the trope. You started with Drew Barrymore in E.T. and it continued on into Poltergeist, and then this movie, and then Stranger Things copied it because the little sister and that also has the pigtails and the suspender overalls. It's like a trope. It's like a whole 80s.
It was just
thing.
her face, though.
Her
It
face
was-
definitely looks
No, her
the
face,
most
her
like
hair.
her.
Like
Yeah,
it looked
Trevor
like
was
the
saying-
same person.
Right. Yeah, Trevor's saying that it was specifically the same person. It does. It definitely looked like her. And maybe that was a purposeful casting choice that they made.
I can see
you know.
that.
But I also think that
Yeah.
they found someone that they wanted to play younger but be older as an actress. Like I think they wanted somebody to be like almost like a 4 or 5-year-old, but they cast someone older who had the speech impediment to sound like she was like this cute, precocious little kid that can do the acting of like, the troll. go around and beat people up and growl and bite and stuff, which you probably couldn't get out of like a 4 or 5-year-old. And it was kind of distracting because like I just could never understand what she was saying. But they made it.
I really didn't mind her too. Yeah, I didn't mind her too much because I thought she was actually a pretty decent actor.
Okay. I just couldn't understand what she was saying. Yeah. Not that she was a bad actress. I just said I couldn't understand a word she was saying the whole time.
But I'm alone in that. So that you found was like the creepiest thing, where it was a particular like troll thing or anything that happened? Because for me, the old lady has that mushroom.
Mushroom? That's the only thing I can think.
The mushroom was the creepiest thing in the whole movie.
This really crusty, scabby penis that was like talking. Oh, it's gross.
But barely talking, and it was just so happy to be aroused all the time. It was definitely.
I actually thought it was cute, aroused. And then like whenever she put the lampshade over its head, and it goes ooh. I'm like, oh, that's adorable. I want one of those.
It is adorable.
It was so creepy.
It was definitely creepy.
The eyes and the mouth were just, they couldn't have designed it creepier if they tried.
No.
Well, that's the thing. If they were going for a horror aspect, then that totally works.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. For sure. I like how like no, go ahead. I'll come back to that.
No, go ahead. I was gonna change gears.
Because there's a scene where the boy, Harry Potter Jr., is in the apartment with her. And he looks around, it's like, these are all things a kid would have. I'm like, expensive medieval gear? Like, what are you talking? Like, nothing makes sense in this movie. Like, none of the lines that anyone says makes any sense at all.
And to that point, they then spend about 15 minutes of a movie that's only like an hour and 20 minutes to describe the world and do world building to the idea that there's this fairy world that's going to bust out into the fourth dimension, and that the old lady has a former husband who's actually turned into the troll, and she tells this whole story about stuff, and there's like this vendetta, and it only happens once every certain cycles of the Sabbath, and it's like,
yep.
who made up this story for Troll?
Well, and the fact that they tell you this story 3/4 of the way through the movie.
The movie's like almost over, and they're like, oh, exposition.
Right?
Because I'm sitting there going, why is the troll even in this apartment building in the middle of San Francisco? Which, again, we don't find out it's San Francisco until
and why does the witch know? Like, why does the witch know? And how does she know? Why is she not doing anything about it? Like, she's just like, oh, yeah, they're at it again. Let me blow my horn. Like, what?
No, dude, she literally gives the kid a spear and says, good luck out there. Yep. It's like, no.
Yeah, what?
You
should training montage?
You know what's out there. You know what needs to happen. Why are you sending this 10-year-old or 13-year-old boy?
Nothing in this movie makes much sense. All right, let's switch gears then, Trevor.
So there's the professor, and the professor, he has the weird character arc with the actual troll guy. But there's that sequence where he comes over to the party, and it's like they have this whole thing just to make jokes of him having dwarfism, and that was just awkward.
Mm-hmm. And it was even more awkward because like, he was the friend, and he was an adult. He came over.
So that was what I got out of it. Like, when you watch it for the first time, like when I was watching that scene, I was sitting there thinking, okay, they're kind of going off of he's a man with I don't know what the politically correct way to say it is. It dwarfism? Little person.
Dwarfism
so
is an actual disease. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's a little person, and they're acting like, okay, he's a little person, we're acting weird around him. But then I started thinking, no, they're acting weird because their daughter is hanging out with an adult male.
Yes.
Who's coming over to have chocolate milk and gin with them.
Yeah, exactly. Like they expected little Timmy to come over, and it was not.
Right, exactly. They were expecting another kid to come over. Right. But instead, they've got this 30-year-old little person.
Yeah. She like stands behind him
which
and put her hands on his shoulders. I'm like, oh my god.
and the craziest thing about it is like we had that one scene, but the rest of the movie, I mean, nobody thinks twice about, like, everybody totally like is awesome with him. And I'm like, I'm so glad that this movie actually didn't lean hard on let's make fun of the little guy.
Yeah, all right, it's fair.
Because they didn't. They really didn't. That scene happened, and then nothing else happened after that. Everybody like was like, "Oh, well, he's a professor. He's very intelligent. He's this and that."
Then we got to this whole sad sequence where he's
The
dying.
weird part, yes, that
Yeah,
part.
and it got serious for a second.
And I'm like, why did this movie become an after-school special all of a sudden? What is happening?
Well,
he's dying, and he was okay with dying, and he's like, "It's my time. My body, I've used it too much. It's given up."
Ever since I was a child, I had this dream.
Yeah, to be an elf as a child, and he had that joke about recessive genes, and he thought it was a pair
like,
of hands.
Oh, God, like, what is happening in this movie?
That
Oh,
was the scene where I felt most uncomfortable with the little girl, because she just kept creeping up closer and closer to him. And it's like, this is uncomfortable. I would not want my 7-year-old little girl in an adult male's house, and she's just like creeping up on him, and it's like, this is uncomfortable.
the whole thing is weird. Yeah, then she like goes behind the couch and turns into the troll, and it's like, what?
And then
it's all
she
creepy.
gives birth to him,
Yeah.
and it's a little troll version with a goatee.
Well, no, he's now an elf.
I
He's
know,
now
but
an elf.
But
he has
You
a
know what it-
goatee.
he looks like the bodies from, and this might be a spoiler alert, but from Midsummer, like the dead bodies. Like he looked like that. Like he looked dead. He didn't look like he was alive. He looked like he was like a face, like someone tore off his face and put it over something. It was really disturbing.
If I jump backwards just slightly,
course,
that
this
whole
makes
scene
no
where
sense
he's
anyways.
talking, the scene where he's talking about being, I didn't know what was going on, and it was a sad scene.
Mhm.
Do you guys think that they kind of shoehorned that in because the movie Gremlins shoehorned that whole scene with the dad going down the chimney?
Oh God.
It doesn't fit
Yeah,
in the
maybe.
movie,
Right.
and it's almost like we need to have something like that in
yeah.
this movie.
That really weird, creepy, depressing real life moment to like put in there.
Right.
Give us some credentials,
So-
I guess, as a film.
Yeah, when he started saying all that, my brain immediately went to Gremlins and thought, oh my God, they're just doing the same thing, just with a different story.
Yeah, I can see that.
So,
Yeah, I was just trying to think if this was what came out for was Leprechaun before this or after this?
I think it was after.
You know what? I'm just gonna- I'm going to pull
Ah.
the time.
I wonder because there's a lot of similarities, but I feel like Leprechaun had, like, even though it was more ridiculous, like a more plausible like Achilles heel for him, like with having to shine the shoes and upkeep the shoes. Where this guy, it was like you just have to kill the beast that protects him, which was like really lame.
I mean, the actual climax of the film where he decides to save the little Bond girl.
yeah, like
He's like, "Don't kill her!
no,
Don't kill
no."
her!" And then the big thing, the guy in the suit. That was such a classic, like 1950s thing of the guy in the suit. I thought he was a
It
Power
really
Rangers
was.
bad guy.
It was. It looked like a Power Rangers movie at that point. I was like, oh, it's the Power
They
Rangers
totally
now.
looked like Power Rangers movies.
Because it was close up on him too. It wasn't like
Yeah.
far away. It was like right up on him, and I really roar. Like,
Don't
what
kill
is
her. And
going
then
on?
Troll's like, "I'm gonna kill this guy," and sabotage my whole thing that I've been waiting like millennium to pull off.
So IMDb just told me that Leprechaun came out in 1993. So this
Oh
movie
my god!
is
93?
way before it.
Oh my god, Leprechaun! What is your? Oh my god! No excuse.
They watch Troll and they're like, "We need to
Woo!
make this," and then no one greenlit it
Justice
for a
bad.
while.
Yes. Oh my god!
And Gremlins was 1984. So Gremlins has got this movie by 2 years.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
this is based on Gremlins.
It totally is. Totally. I mean, those little creatures look like little gremlins. Come on. And he's sprouting them just like a gremlin would, right? Creating pods of them. Yeah, it's definitely
Which
gremlins.
now makes me want to look up Labyrinth.
Uh-oh. But there was the other scene too, where like she was encased like Sleeping Beauty or Snow White or wherever that princess was that was in the woods. I'm like, oh, you're gonna kiss your sister. This is really weird now. To like wake her
And
up.
then they had that weird red laser on top, and they panned through it, so you couldn't really see her. It was one of the worst camera angles I've ever seen. Like, no one did any cinematography of how that actually looks on film.
They weren't too sure. Yeah, there's like,
So Labyrinth was made the same year as this movie, 1986.
Well, there you go.
There's
a lot of cross-pollination in Hollywood, for those of you who don't know, people that work on the same projects at the same time, and a lot of spying that goes on. So a lot of the same people might have actually.
In Labyrinth, they were spying on Troll, and they're like, oh no.
Sorry, I used the wrong words. I should
get David Bowie on the phone.
I should have said that.
The only thing that's going to save it.
A lot of people work on the same set, so sometimes they'll see stuff and it'll like seep into their subconsciousness. That happens a lot in like Hollywood films. I shouldn't say spy; that was the wrong term. But it does happen.
Well, it does seem like, but it still happens today. I mean, look at, I mean, you get a movie about a dog that one company's gonna make. Every other company comes out with a movie about a dog. Right. So, or a natural disaster movie where an asteroid's going to hit the Earth. There'll be 6 natural disaster movies where asteroids hit the Earth. So
no, I'm talking more about the design elements. Like people who work like in design will probably like they kind of commune together. Like there's like artists that kind of know each other, work with each other, so they probably see each other's work and it seeps into their unconsciousness. So it comes out. It's like he looks like Hoggle because the guy who designed Troll probably was friends with the guy who designed Hoggle, is my guess. Because they looked way too similar in look and feel and the way they moved. If they came out at the same time, I bet you there was a lot of that going on back then.
I actually I felt Troll was actually kind of cute, to be honest with you. I mean, his facial structure was it was cute. It was way cuter than Hoggle. Hoggle looks like a troll.
Yeah, Hoggle looks great.
If they were to switch those, if they switched those characters in their movies, it would have been way more sense.
Yeah, but Troll always looked like he was horny for something. He was always like,
At the very start,
he was watching naked.
Yeah, he always has a shadow masturbating. There's 3 different times where his shadow's rocking back and forth.
He's like, yes, make pod babies. Yes, little green man.
Well, did you notice how they did that, though? They would show for instance, there was a couple scenes where they would show the shadow, and then the little girl would show up. And it was like, oh, I see what they were trying to do there. It just was not successful.
It was this cheap and easy way to transition a character without showing them transition. Like, oops, look away.
Well, and she though is more story of the ring. The ring, like the troll didn't have any abilities. It was all through the ring. So anyone could have put that ring on and did all the stuff the troll does.
Right. Tell me more about the ring. You know, Troll 3, Legend of the Ring.
To rule them all.
Yeah. It is. It's that one ring. You impersonate other people. For some reason, you can make the fire go up on the stove. I love when Troll gets shot with the gun. And he looks down expecting to be having a bullet hole in him. And he's surprised that he's not damaged at all. Yeah. He's like, oh.
Oh, this is great. I can do whatever I want. What? Why are you impervious to bullet wounds?
Awesome. Well, and the thing behind him even like explodes. Like, did you notice that?
No,
whenever he shot right through him, it went through him, and something behind him explodes. So it was
like it ricocheted off of him, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
So that was kind of cool.
All right. Yeah.
Kind of cool stuff. They were thinking.
So one other fun piece is that the old lady comes down and she's talking to the dad, and she says something along the lines of, "Did you know anything bad stuff happens on a Saturday?" And then she's like, "Do you know when they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima?" And the dude's like, "Was it a Saturday?" And she's like, "I don't know." And she leaves.
Yes, that was the most weirdest thing ever. I'm like, I was trying to remember that line later. I'm like, didn't she say something about Pearl Harbor? What was that? Or it wasn't Pearl Harbor, was it? It was something else. It was Hiroshima. I'm like, what is going on in this film? And she just walks away. There's no context, no reason. There's no punchline.
Do you think that was the punchline? Her going, "I don't know. See you later." I thought it was
to look it up. To those who are wondering, we did drop the bomb on Hiroshima August 6th, 1945. It was a Monday.
Wasn't
Ooh.
that Saturday? So there you go. Who
Oh,
knows?
no wonder Garfield
Why?
hates Mondays.
I don't know. This movie was weird.
That was just such a weird. There was all these just weird lines where they throw them out, and then that's the line. There's no other character who cares that line was said.
Right.
Well, it does. Do you feel like maybe that was her way of trying to figure out how to keep him inside the apartment and not come out? Now he's got to go find the encyclopedias, and he's going to look up when that all was. And because he even walks back inside and says, "Honey, where's the encyclopedias?"
Interesting. I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
I was so like dumbfounded by that whole scene. I think I just wasn't paying attention anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
My brain like left my body. I was like, I don't know why did she ask him that? Okay. That happened.
So that's just what I thought. I thought maybe it was something to throw him off, and yeah.
The movie was more avant-garde dialogue than I expected.
Apparently. My goodness.
I thought the dad was a great character, though. What a just space cadet he was. It was fantastic. Besides that dancing scene, he was fantastic.
Good scene.
I guess he's the DA in Law and Order.
Oh, really?
I knew he looked somewhat familiar, but I was like, he's just generic. So I was like,
I had to look it up.
Everybody in this movie seemed to have had a pretty decent career.
Yeah. For the most part, strangely enough. Well, there you go.
Now I've got to look it up now. It's gonna bother me.
He definitely had that like big forehead thing that was going on in the 80s too, like the whole John Lithgow look. You know, people like that. Be like, we want like the low rent John Lithgow. Give us that guy. All right. So there's plenty of them back in the 80s. That's for sure.
Yeah, people like that.
People like that. You know.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Other than that, just the bad CGI and the bad sets and the weird fake plants that keep like shaking. Like it's almost like there were scenes where the plants were coming in. You can tell that there was like some like grip behind the scenes, like taking it and like shaking it slowly down into the scenes.
It was like really bad stop motion kind of stuff.
Yeah, like you're in a bad play or something, and like your local theater.
You know what it might have been too? It might have been them. Sorry, I'm thinking of this. Like if I was behind the scenes, if I was to do that type of stuff, I would have had all the plants all laid out everywhere. And then right once action called, you start crawling them backwards.
Right.
And then in post, you put it in reverse.
Exactly.
And then it looks like they crawl forward. I mean, granted, it looks cheesy as all hell, but it's still pretty
better than like a whole thing like just shaking down. I'm like,
yeah.
What? It's like they went to Michael's and found like the leaf section. So but that's what made it funny. It was like, all right, it's like this is one of those movies that like I actually enjoyed watching it for the most part because it was so dumb, but I'll never watch it again. Like I'll never watch desire to ever watch this movie again.
I got a little more bored than I expected because Leprechaun it was parts. Funny, but it was more parts where it was like they're trying right here.
Yeah, there were a few trying moments where I was like, all right, let's move along the pace. I don't care about this backstory. I don't care about this character. So let's give me some cheesy something because this is dumb.
There was a part where Harry Potter Jr. just coming and talking to the old lady, and he looks at a picture of her and he's like, "You were pretty," and then he just doesn't say anything.
No, but it's also
they don't talk at all. And then she's like, "What?" And he's like, passively, he's leaving the room and he's like, "Beauty fades with age." And there's no inflection or tone to his voice. He just says it, and then he walks out of the room.
I was like, what a prick!
Beauty fade. Doesn't the girl say that too? At some point?
Yeah, the troll says it too.
The troll, yes. As who does he say that to? The woman? Oh my god, I remember that.
Yeah, the troll
it's like
says
a fever dream. Oh my god, it's like a fever dream. Holy crap. Because it's almost like if you watch Noah Hathaway's performance in this, it's like he's in a daze the whole time. And I don't know if that was on purpose or if he's just an idiot in real life and he is dumb. But like he seemed like he might have been under her spell, possibly. Like that's why he kept going up there. I've never seen anyone act that bad in my life, and I've seen some bad.
God, you just truly hate this person.
No, I don't. I love it. I mean, I have a signed picture by him. Like I like the guy. He's a great guy in real life.
I feel so
But
bad for
as an actor,
Atreyu
he's not
because you
good.
hate Atreyu.
I do not hate Atreyu.
I
I
do.
hate his acting performance. There's a difference. He helped save Fantasia, so I can't hate him. But yeah, that kid cannot act. Oy,
So
unfortunately.
the old witch, dude, her last film credit was in 2019. She was still acting all the way up to 2019.
Because
That is incredible,
the
man.
mom stopped, I think, in like '93, so that's good for her.
Yeah, she was like Grey's Anatomy. Dude, this
Yeah.
is crazy.
Nice.
Good for
All right.
her.
Yeah, I can see her
that's
being a
awesome.
good actress too. She definitely hammed it up, but she wasn't like bad. She was just like, doing the part.
She
Like she
seemed
was
out of
classic.
place in the
Oh,
film.
she was definitely out of place. Like as
Yeah.
soon as she showed up, I'm like, who is this like classically trained actress?
Yeah,
showing
she's
up
an
in this movie?
actor at the top of the stairs. It's like, what's going on?
Right.
It's like Dame Judi Dench shows up in this. Like, what is happening? Why are you in this?
Oh my
yeah.
god, she was the mom
Sorry.
in Lassie. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, Lassie.
Okay.
Lassie, come home.
I'll stop
Okay.
looking at that stuff.
And then there's one part I
We're
had to
about-
include just for Prague.
Oh,
The dad calls her Wicked Witch of the West.
does he? I totally missed that part. It's great.
Well, that was right after right before he asked for the encyclopedias. After
Yeah.
she says,
yeah, I was in the days.
when
I
was
wasn't paying
Hiroshima?
attention. I was just dumbfounded by that whole
Wow.
He's like, Wicked Witch of the West just stopped by because he's talking to his wife.
Wow. Wow, what a mean guy. Maybe I do
don't-
think for that.
Yeah.
This film is like a fever dream. Not too sure.
I mean, honestly, I was watching it and I was like, I don't know what we're gonna talk about with this movie. I mean,
All kinds
granted,
of stupid stuff that it does
The dumb stuff,
randomly.
yeah.
a lot of dumb stuff, but here we are now, almost
How
almost
did
at
each
50 minutes.
apartment that grows out of so plants take over an individual apartment? How does it then open up to the entire like open fields?
Magic. It's magic.
That's the fantasy, dude.
Yeah, fantasy.
But they had to
into a-
set up the fantasy. You can't just have
No,
fantasy. You need to
no,
explain
no.
fantasy.
It's like the witch in the wardrobe.
Yeah, except you don't have a Mr. Tumless to tell you how everything works.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's because we don't need, hey, us as an audience, we don't need someone to hold our hand every time we watch a movie.
No, we don't need any.
yeah,
Don't
if
give us
it's
any
easy, it's
exposition.
obvious.
Yes. No exposition at all. Love it.
I did like that the end left with a cliffhanger because he takes over the cop. And so I haven't seen Troll 2, but I just like the idea
Oh, I want to
that
now.
Troll's walking downtown as a cop. It's like, hey.
Hi.
Oh,
He gets
gee.
all horny.
The worst thing about that, I think that's the worst thing about this movie is the fact that now I'm actually gonna want to watch Troll 2.
But the fact that people say it's worse, like, really intrigues me. Like, it really intrigues me. Like, how? How is this possible? I want to know.
I still don't know how you guys haven't seen the scene where the guy's like, the trolls are eating her, then they're gonna eat me. Oh my god! I can't believe you guys haven't seen this.
I wonder if
And then
just
it's a
not saying it
slow
right.
zoom in on his face. Oh
Wait,
no!
is it?
I'm
wait,
saying
wait.
it spot on. That's exactly how it's said.
What does the guy look like? Who says this?
He's blonde with glasses. He looks like a nerd.
No.
I guess there's like 3 trolls up on a balcony eating like this goop because the girl turns into goop or something like that.
This is.
And
starting
then
to
he's
sound
like,
familiar.
"Here."
Okay, maybe. All right. I still need to see
So
it.
that's
though.
Troll, man. Which is crazy because Troll 2 actually looks like a horror movie in compared to what we just watched. Troll 1 is not a horror movie at all. Hey, watch it with your kids.
I mean, who
Or just
cares?
don't
It's
watch
not
it
that
at
bad,
all.
honestly. Or just don't watch it at all. Just skip it. Skip it. But it's free.
Yeah,
at
just
least.
listen to us.
Listen to us trash it. You can do that.
I'm gonna pull up that scene just for you guys.
Done. Is there anything else? I'm trying to think of any other aspect of this film. No, I think we covered most of it, honestly. It was a
It's
bad
not
movie.
that long of a film, and
No, it went by pretty
It's-
quick, I guess.
it's tough that if they had any seriousness in creating this, that someone at the end of the day was like, "That's good stuff."
Yeah.
But also, it's not even that good of like jokey bad on like, say you watch Gremlins and you want to make a takeoff parody of Gremlins. I don't even think it's a good parody. It's just, it's still trying too hard to be a parody. So I don't know where it actually sits.
No, I don't. I'm confused. I have no idea what the intent
That's
was of this film.
Right. I don't feel like that this was. There wasn't very many lines that were very. What is it? Memeable. It wasn't a memeable type of movie.
No, it wasn't but I think so. If they were trying to make this like a B movie because the kid was watching the B movies, they made it too fantasy for that. It was almost like too storybook fantasy even than like the B movie monster type movies were. Those were more like sci-fi horror esque, whereas this introduced fantasy, but so it didn't quite know how to balance that aspect of like the B movie can't be sci-fi versus a fantasy storybook tale. You can't do both of those things. It just doesn't. It didn't work, at least for this, for me.
I
No,
kind of
not
noticed
at
it right at the open because it starts just like the opening credits. There's a church and they're playing
Yeah.
this eerie music, and I'm like, okay, this is like some Leprechaun stuff. And then all of a sudden it goes to this fairy tale book, and it's like,
Yeah, you're like what?
what's going on? And then it's like, let's transition to just pictures of the forest. And then all of a sudden we're on the moving truck in San Francisco. None of
Yeah.
the scenes had any connection to each
Nope.
other. And
Not
they
at
were
all.
just
Not
background. They
one.
could have put stock footage of anything there.
And if they didn't want it, it didn't matter because it wouldn't make any sense to the film.
And it
So.
fit with, I think it set the actual tone.
It does, yeah. Those moments set the tone for the film. Like we don't know what we're doing. Here it is. Here's the whole movie for you. Good luck. Strap in.
Strap in.
Because, whew, boy. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
That's all I
everyone.
got.
So that's Troll, the 1986 version. And we've gotten some good suggestions on social media of what to talk about the rest of the month. Thanks, everyone, for sending them in. If you have any other ideas, be sure to let us know. We can rip it apart like we did Troll. Until then,
Yes.
what are we going to talk about next week? Who knows? We hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, Prague out.
Adios, y'all.